All right, so it's a pleasant good afternoon here at the Liberia Council of Churches, where we've come again to speak with the Council's Secretary General, Reverend Christopher Dewayu. Christopher too is always open to providing information to the public and others around the world via this medium focus on Liberia. My name is Prince. We are in the Liberian capital, Monrovia. The time here is 25 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are here on the 16th Street where the Liberia Council of Churches offices are located. If you're just joining us, my name is Prince. Of course, thanks for joining. I don't know where you're watching from, whether it's in the afternoon, good afternoon. If it is a morning hour, good morning to you, and thanks to all our viewers across the world. Reverend Christopher too, once again, welcome to the US-based Focus on Liberia television. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Morba. I'm great.
Great. And we always let us start like this. How is the council, the churches?
Okay, thank you very much. The churches are trying to manage in such a time like this when the economic situation are getting tougher. So the churches, though is a microcosm of society in terms of speaking as the voice of the voiceless, this particular group continuing to do its work to make sure that the society is at a balance.
All right, so I'm very much sure that since the inauguration, before the inauguration, we chatted. But how is the council and the government, as a major player in the policy making process in our democracy? How's everything?
Okay, looking at the political, economic, social, technological, environmental, on the local level of the country, the country is at a stage that we expect to be accelerating, but it's still at a slow pace.
Okay.
There are a lot of expectation. The new government took over from the previous government, and the issue is not complaining. When you take over, you must be able to take all the responsibilities that you wanted to take. That's why you wanted power. And so statements that were made, we yet to see some of those things happening. Although there were some things that did took place, and we will comment on that. But it is important for us to be able to say that things are not yet fine.
Things are not yet fine.
Yeah, things are not yet fine. We have gone 6 months into this government, and coming to the Independence Day celebration, there's a lot to be done.
So, what do you make of others who are saying that the president is not in control? He's not making those executive decisions that, as head of government, are supposed to make, but rather, just see things happening. That is the reason why we are on a slow pace, like you put it. What do you make of that?
Oh, that's their own perception.
Okay.
There's their own perception about trying to value or to take a stock of what is happening with the government. Because this government, before coming to power, make reference of the first 100 days, what was going to be expected from them. And so these are the things that people look at in terms of measurement. Now, in terms of action, in terms of executive action, there are some things that does need collaborative initiative. So the president cannot work in isolation.
Okay.
When the president works in isolation, it becomes dictatorship. So you need to have a government, and you do know that this government, the opposition is in majority in the legislature. So this government needs a collaboration with the opposition. And government is of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's what makes it a democracy. So you need a collaborative initiative working along with opposition for the better interests of the country. It's not for any party interest. It's not promoting any party, but promoting the national interest that will benefit the people of the country.
Okay, so as we move forward in this election, so what are those things? Because the first question is, you said we last expected, but I think we've still far from them, and I mean more is expected. So where do you think where the council thinks we should have been there, and we are not there? What are those areas? Maybe those thematic areas. Maybe we'll talk about rule of law. We'll talk about good governance. Maybe the economy. You know, the bread and butter thing. Where we're supposed to be with those things that we are not.
I think one of the slow pace that this government experience is based on its composition.
Okay.
Before you come to power, I think you should have a government, because that's what you wanted to. So for the mere fact you are going into a race now, which is a runoff, you should have had a government, you know, not even if not 100%, but at least you have a government of 70% that is already structured. So you got about some of those key ministries, agencies and commissions that you have set in place, so that when you get into power, pronouncements are made, people start working, and things have been done. So it took the government a very long time for composition. People are still, being nominated for confirmation, and the legislature goes on recess and come back according to the law. So all that is a delay. So you got to look at the factors, in governance, and as a president, it is a responsibility that we got to know the political trend, as it moves from the legislature to the executive, and look at the judiciary component, and look at the trend and see the break in between, and see how you move faster. Because if you do not move in line with the legislative own functions that they have in the period that they operate in according to the law, eventually there will be another delay. Because the only time you bring them back, except you got to provide additional funding to have them to reassemble, and then you don't have that funding, then it becomes an impediment. You have to wait for them to come back, by law, customarily by law. So these are some of the things that cause some setbacks and other things like that. And also, when you make statements, political statements that becomes like a policy, when you get into power, a lot of people have an expectation who are accountable. Yeah. So if you say in the first 90 days, Vigo and other stuck.
What's the reading about that? That was my next question. The 100 days delay rule, other challenge, other condemned, others say yes, it was achieved. There was some achievements. There were some achievements made, but on a larger scale, the government was staying in the composition. Okay. So she could not do. So much. Areas that other functionaries supposed to be, they were not there.
And because even the timing of the budget, that's what I'm saying. All these things you got to look at it carefully.
Especially because the budget year has changed.
Yeah, the budget year has changed, and the budget that this government is supposed to be operating, it should have been a budget of the previous government. So government is continuity. It's not coming again and trying to redo a budget. So when you come in to redo a budget, all that one takes time and got to go through legislative, process. So the legislature have to appropriate that budget again, and then before it goes for approval, and then before it goes for signing into law. So it's back and forth. Before that budget is processed, and the legislature have to go back on break and other things. Eventually, the time is elapsing. People need to take pay. How will they take pay? Yes, you may be raising the funding, but you cannot spend, on a budget, you will be charged for that when the budget is not approved. So these are some of the things that, so when you make commitment that vehicle will not get stuck and other things like that, you need finances, you need resources, you need the logistics to do that.
You need the qualified and prepared people
Prepare
in
people
government
to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You see, because even those who come into power, you see, these are some of the challenges that we have in this country is the issue of continuity. You cannot change everybody in the government at once. There are some people that are supposed to be there for transition. You get into power and you transition and gradually, because these are people of productivity. The deliverables are visible. People must see those deliverables. If you're talking about the roles, you can't just come and change the public works minister. The new one will come and start looking for document. Start looking for document where to start from. If you're talking about water, the new person for water has to kind of start from. Well, you need to start with those that you have there, already there, have them accountable, and then transition after your 90 days, so that at least you can be able to have some deliverables. So people are already there working. They were there before they knew what was going on, and so now they come into power. Now they continue power, and then they prepare themselves for the good turnover. But when people make the pronouncement for everybody to be able to leave the offices, people left, and they were not there. When they maybe turnover, some people left, and they were not there to be able to meet with the others to be able to transition. So if you have HRs or people, officers in charge, you call officers in charge in those offices, they will not be able to go through the documentations, review the papers, because no one will just come to an office and just start doing things. They got to do some revision. They got to know what they are starting from, and what are the issues on the table, what they need to do, who are those vendors, who are the different people we are working with. They got to have those engagement meetings and other things. Before they finish with the engagement meeting, 60 days over. What time to act? So these are some of the things. So the issue of continuity, government is continuity. So you should be able to understand that.
Great. So
and especially, or even when you have your resources where you're raising funding for, through where you're getting money in the country, the national port, the LPRC, all those things. It's not a rush issue. It's an issue where your resources are coming in, the Ministry of Commerce and all that things. Those are places that you need to be able to have smooth transition and not a hurry transition.
Great. You need to have a smooth transition and not a hurry transition. But I think this goes both to the outgoing government and the incoming government. Because I can remember when the CDC lost the election, the president mandated that all ministers and cabinet ministers and all appointed officials resign their posts and give ultimatum to them. Now, on the other hand, the incoming government will also have people on their legs to fill in those gaps. So my question is, what will you be proposing? Because some of those things happen because of the partisanship thing. Or Mr. Two is my partisan and he needs to be the Minister of Finance. Or the outgoing government, the Minister of Public Works, we didn't like it. So what could be a recommendation in that manner? So Liberians qualify should work or partisanship should take over?
I can say President Wleh was doing his duty as a president to say, you have performed in my government and it's your responsibility to turn over. He was doing his work. Now, if you see the transition from that time up to the inauguration, there's a period up to the inauguration. Now, after inauguration, what happened next? How long it takes for this government to start appointing? You got to look at that. So now,
it's a long time.
Yeah, it took time. So because they were trying to do a lot of talking, engaging, and all the consultation, because there were people from the oppositions who joined in the runoff election process that needed to be accommodated. So I showed these were some of the discussions that were going on. But so when you're having this discussion going on, all you need to say to those who President Wleh say resign, you can still call them and say, can you please hold on?
Okay. As president-elect.
Yeah, as a president-elect, you can say to them, can you please hold on as we finalize our structure, you understand? And then after we take over, at least within a period of 2 months or 3 months.
Or even 6 months.
Or we can transition within the 90 days. We can transition after the 90 days and other things like that. So some of them you can change, some of them you can leave in power. So that you cannot change everybody at once. Because if you change everybody at once, everybody will go there blank. And so when you ask them the question, they will say, we met nothing. Because you have not seen anything yet. Because something may be there, but you can't see it.
You don't know it.
You don't know it. Somebody has to be able to tell you that this is what was here, and this is how it was being done, and X, Y, Z. But somebody will leave a paper there, and you come and you're trying to read that paper and understand it. And so maybe you're looking for the president already gone for the vacation. They travel, they're gone. They leave your office for you. That's why you say you want that. So you got to be, in the issue of continuity, you got to look at it very strategically, in the interest of the country.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the legislature a little bit. I can remember some time ago, I mean, all eyes can be on the legislature, where if you somebody from the same faith background, but from the Muslim faith, I describe a group of useless people. But that's not what I'm looking at. What is the reading of the Council of Churches? What is the council's reading of the legislature, this 55th legislature? Recently, the media been on them. They want to begin a Grand Bassa candidates a letter that was on $200,000 for accommodation. Recently, some member of the House also riding on Keke to go to the Capitol building in protest of a benefit of vehicles that the government of Liberia was supposed to purchase for them that is kept in this current budget year. But on the overall, how do you see the legislature? Are we making progress up there where the laws are made, where every single level is represented?
And I want to say to you, when I talk about government as a continuity, they were elected. Now, automatically they sit in before even the government is inaugurated, right? Okay. So when they sit in before the government is inaugurated, eventually they take over. So I can say there are professional people that are there, but they need the tools to work with. So you cannot come to power. You come to power and cry, say, I did not meet any money in the coffers. Find money and put it there. Look for money. That's why you wanted to run the country. So if you find the money to run the country, then you can be able to investigate those who turn over to you and find out what happened with the funding. But you can't just be complaining all around the place that there is no money, we did not meet money there. When the other people are saying we met money, we left money there. So it will be this same old thing, blame and, shifting blame here and there. So we're not here for shifting blame. If you take on the responsibility, be a man, run the country. So the legislature, they need a tool to work with. Okay. They need a tool to work with. So you have to be able to provide them the tool.
So the executive should provide them what they're calling for. Is that what you say?
Yes, the executive is to be able to implement. They have the role to make law, to appropriate budgets and other things. So the executive is to implement. And the judiciary is to interpret. So there are 3 distinct functions, in the government, in the government setting, both the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. But how will the first branch of government function if it does not have the necessary, logistics?
What do you make of others who are saying no need to ride keke and go to work in protest of money that even the public is criticizing you of taking 45,000 of vehicle every 3 years? That is too much. You got a car, you can manage it with that one. That's what others are saying. I think even following the social media, the traditional media, people call on the videos, they don't love me because are shameless. What do you make of all of that?
My brother, Keke is now a movement. It's now a movement. It's now a movement machine. It's a movement machine. Even if I'm a minister of the government, I want to ride my motorbike and go to work, it's not with me.
You can ride it, but ride it as a protest now, that's argument.
Now, the issue is that when we talk about, these are the things we talk about government as a continuity. So these things in the process of turnover, when this government was shifting from one government to another, there were legislatures who were there in power. So, if they were there in power, when they were leaving, those vehicles was it belonging to them? Did they buy it?
That's a question.
Did they buy it for themselves? If the boy, all that was supposed to be in the transition.
It should be for government provided.
Because
once government provides the money, you buy it. That is not your own car.
Yeah, if it is government property, because what we learn and we need to investigate that some people pay for those vehicles, although they were bought, but they pay for the vehicles over the period. If that is true, then it belongs to them. If not, then those vehicles will be turned over to the new legislature that come in power. It happens even within the executive.
Yeah.
So, and then
it is not common in the legislature.
Yeah, it's not common in the legislature. So, and in the executive, a lot of people have gone to work, deputy minister, and they cannot find a vehicle.
Okay.
You can't find a vehicle, and the people say, "I bought my car." So, if you go check the car document, the car is not in government name. So the car is in an individual name because that individual paid for it. So legally, it belongs to that person, although they were using government plate on that vehicle. So you got to be able to look at all that, all those things. So in the transition, in the turnover, if you knew very well that you had so many vehicles to provide for legislature, judiciary, and the executive, and the resources to provide them. That previous budget, you got to look whether they were funding in that previous budget or any. If there was a budget that was prepared and that was supposed to be endorsed, make sure that the project is endorsed so that you can get prepared. But in Liberia, it's unfortunate because in Liberia, we take a longer time for transition of government.
This is wrong.
That is wrong.
Instead of as soon as the president wins,
I mean, how long you win, you should be able to take over.
Yeah.
And when you take over the government, eventually, those are there, they are working for the country.
Yeah.
Gradually, you start reviewing process, you start working with them, and then if you need to start shifting and start changing people, it's not abrupt. You don't do things abruptly.
Liberia should graduate from this.
We shall graduate from this having election October or November, and then having inauguration in January.
That's what the
almost 3 months. And then in the 3 months, people prepare themselves so they can prepare papers and anything and get the document and backdate it. And then you can't say you have asset recovery.
That was my next question. What do you make of this asset recovery thing?
They have to go by the law. The issue is that follow the law. You see, the government is a government that should operate by law. So if you have an asset recovery process put into place, it should be legislated so that it has the backing of enforcement. So there are some things, yes, we support asset recovery. We support it, but if it does not go through the necessary process,
what was wrong with the formulation of the asset recovery thing from the beginning that you think may have led us to where we are today?
Oh, I think it's a process. Okay. It's a process. The asset recovery is not something that is bad. It helps government. It helps the country even to put us on the right footing. It helps us as a country to put us on the right footing, the asset recovery, to know what is it that we have as a country. But as I said to you, some of those things are not rush. You have to take the time, put yourself in the position, organize your government, and then when you put into place those mechanisms, they work. But if you just come up and run away and start going on the street after 1 month, 2 months, and start grabbing people's vehicles, you say that asset recovery, you start closing people's doors. Eventually, you'll go through a legal process. If you go through the legal process, if you don't win, then you look.
It becomes a failure. Can we say this process has failed?
Yeah, they had what they need a review process.
Great. Okay, Reverend Christopher Too I'm here with him. Of course, Focus on Liberia is live. A few minutes we'll be concluding. So before we conclude, Reverend, let me ask a few questions. I can remember the past government in the first 1 year, 6 months or 7 months we are now. You were criticized. You were considered as opposition council of churches. You were alarming with the opposition at that time. But they consider we're not hearing something like that. I mean, no government official is condemning the council of churches. I mean, things are just quiet. I said, because they say you're oppositional now, you are in position now. Is that what's happening?
No.
What's happening?
We still maintain our position. What happened is that the same thing that happened in all government, even with the joint we have government. For the first year, we tried to engage the government. So we're in the engagement process. And I want you to know, this is an interesting component of the Council of Churches. Those that empower our members. They are not our enemies. So they are our members. So when they are members and they get into power, we need to be able to remind them of the responsibility that has an effect on the church. So there's a process. I want you to know that some of these government officials, they are all, before they became government officials, they were regular interest services. They go to church.
Some of them are pastors, evangelists.
I tell you, some of them used to go to prayer meeting, Bible study, and all. Now ask them whether they can go there. They're already been appointed. They find excuses now. So sometimes even for the pastors to see them again is difficult. So they are
job.
The job. I don't know whether the job is on Sunday and all. You see, because the time they even supposed
and by right, obviously you still the office by 4, 5, so it doesn't stop you from coming to Bible study.
It not stop you from going to Bible study. But nobody want to get into hear that same message that was preached before. Okay. So now they're trying to bypass the messages. They're trying to bypass the connections, the influence. You know, so the interest, they put the interest above everything. So that engagement process. So now, we as the council, we still remain the same council. Okay. We have not changed. So sooner or later, sooner or later, this government will start calling us opposition. Trust me. Just watch it. They will start calling us opposition. The opposition will start calling us their friend.
I love that.
So that's how it look like. Because whenever you start to speak out, the first thing you do is to engage. Okay. You engage. Because when you engage, they will tell you, oh, we have this problem, we have that problem, we have this and other things like that. Then, okay, we're listening to you, we're watching you, you giving some, you giving some excuses, trying to say I'm working on some things, we're waiting on you, watching you, and we're moving with you. So when we see that the timeline that you are providing and still nothing is happening, then you start hearing us. But it's still soon. Okay. It's still soon for you to start hearing, the opposition can speak because they are politicians. But we can still speak on some of the issues of concern and other things. But we cannot get to the place right now in the place of condemn. No, we cannot be a condemning council. We did not condemn the previous government. We're not condemning the government. We can always be concerned and we'll raise the issue that if anything's happening against human rights, the government should condemn it. The government should investigate. So all the different things that happen during the period where people die, the Beer Mountain protests, the issue around the tenure positions, the issue around war and economic crimes code, the issue around legislative waste, the issue around arbitrary killing of citizens by security personnel, the issue around corruption, these are things that, as a council, we are concerned.
You taking note?
Yeah, we're taking note and we'll continue to engage the government on it. And we're calling the government to act. We did it before, yesterday, and we'll do it now.
Let's talk a little bit about this arbitrary killing you talk about. Recently, we heard that officers of the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency and police officers, they gone to several areas to raid ghettos or hide over drugs abusers. But we informed of 2 deaths so far. One from the Banasville area, and one from the rehab area. What's the council reading about that? I mean, it says something that should be practiced in our democracy when you go to raid or even you go to effectuate arrest, to discharge firearm and even kill people. How do you look at that?
It's a human right violation.
You said?
It's a human right violation.
Okay.
The right of life has been denied. And the government must be able to investigate and tell us, the Liberian people, and tell the international community why a precious life that God provided to the soil was just taken away. It's unfortunate. Our leaders should be able to speak to it. They should be able to visit the family. You know what it means to lose a child? You know, no matter who that person is, we should be concerned about society. They did not create themselves. Some of us, we made them into what they are today. We bring the drugs into the country because we want to get rich. And they are the consumers and victims of the drugs. But we have the resources. Some people have the resources to be able to, to maintain themselves. But what happens to the children, their future? We're not concerned about that. And they are just growing in numbers every day. Do you think your children you're sending to America and Great Britain or wherever, will they come back tomorrow to rule? They will not come back. They will be afraid because they will have hooligans here who will give them tough time. They will not be able to govern. So these are things that we're going to look at very seriously.
What's the best way the DA and the police are supposed to go about with this raiding thing? What do you think?
I think they need more training. I think government should have more budgetary allocation to
for more training.
For the joint security. Security is very important.
To some extent, there are people who
the
are...
security of our country is very important. If you don't have good security, you don't attract investors. Security is important. I will not come to invest in your country when I know security is a challenge. So we need to invest in security. I don't care what kind of, if you talk about what kind of touristic structures you want to put in the place. If the place is not safe, no one want to come there. They want to come to a place that is safe, that they can move anywhere. The place may not be 100% safe, but at least you have better safety. You walk here in the night, you see what happened. 8 or 9 o'clock, everybody, they say they go to bed. Citizens will be sleeping. Citizens will be operational. Because some people should work in the night, some people work in the day, some people work in the afternoon. That will make a country to move. But everybody go to bed by 9 or 10, city is shut down, there's a problem.
That's not a city.
That's not a city.
Finally, let's talk a little bit about this current debate. I'm sure the Methodist Church is one of your members. This current debate in the Methodist Church now, where it's alleged that the church is trying to initiate or infuse the right of same-sex marriage in the church. And then it started in Monrovia, the tension is escalated to the county, Nima being one of those counties. I mean, how do the church see that? The council
we have already put into place a committee, we call it mediatory reconciliation committee.
Okay.
That is intervening. So we met with a component of the group a few days ago, and we're going to be meeting the next group on today.
What are you reconciling?
You spoke on some of the issues, but I think the center of the whole matter has to do with legislation, with approval of legislation from the General Conference that was passed, and as a United Methodist, it was like passed down to everyone to be able to adhere to it.
What is the resolution?
And then the issue about there were many resolutions, but the key thing that is raising the issue of marriage, the definition of marriage. So that definition of marriage has incorporated the whole issue of same-sex. Yeah, trying to adapt some global countries, practices of respecting, gay rights, and other things like that, because they feel that those people's rights have been denied. So that, from their own context, they know how to explain it more. But from my own context, I know it from my own context, definitely. From the Bible I read, I know it from that. And they have maybe their own scripture to be able to defend that. But for what I do know, is, that is what is going on.
You see the council mediating?
Yeah, we are mediating. We are mediating because I think the both parties are saying the same thing.
Okay.
The bishop is not in support. And so I want to get this clear to people. Okay. The bishop said to us that he's not in support of the gay right. He did not support it. He will not support it today, he will not support it tomorrow. But he's effecting action.
He's in the center of the controversy.
Yeah, he's supporting action from the General Conference.
What do you support?
To be able to uphold the church. So that's where the whole discussion now has to go on, and for them to be able to come up with a common understanding. And so the others against it, and he's against it. So that means they got to form a common ground and look at what is the issue there that they can be able to address and find a way forward for the United Methodist Church in Liberia.
Thank you so much, Reverend Christopher Wleh, been talking with me. Anything fun that you want to say maybe in 1 minute as we close up on this interview?
This we just want to say to, first is to the government. Govern well. The Liberian people look up to you. You came with a slogan to rescue the country. And when you use the word rescue, that means something was done that was not done properly, and you came to be able to free people. So there's a lot expected. Don't tell the Liberian people that they should not expect much. Work. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't tell them they should not expect much because you wanted that power, we gave it to you. So do what you're supposed to do to transform the country and make it better than what it was yesterday. The next thing to Liberian people is we want to thank you for your resilience, your patience, your tolerance, to the peace, keeping the peace. Liberians, they speak out the anger nowadays instead of expressions. So we want to say to Liberians, thank you for that patience and you continue to exercise. But let's be more nationalistic and patriotic. Let's love Liberia. Let's love Liberia. Let's build Liberia together. And so we want to say to the opposition also, as an opposition, keep on doing your work. Keep on doing your work as an opposition. Make sure that Liberia moves forward as an opposition. But don't destroy, do anything that will bring about destruction of this country. You can engage, you can criticize, but yet you can make the country a better place. Because tomorrow you may have another opportunity to lead the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So his name is Reverend Christopher Wleh. He's been with me. I'm talking with him on several national issues. Thanks for following us. My name is Prince. So this is how I would like to come to the end of this live interview. Do join Focus on Liberia another time for another live broadcast. Until then, my name is Prince. Bye-bye. I'm out.